historians and Bible scholars have been completely puzzled by Ezekiel chapter 30. There are many prophecies in this chapter. The experts cannot find that any of the prophecies have been fulfilled. Jesus revealed how these prophecies were fulfilled by the king of Babylon, and Jesus revealed them in an instant, in the twinkling of an eye. Ezekiel chapter 30 can finally be understood, even though the experts could not find the meaning to it. This must be very important, otherwise Jesus would not have revealed it. Jesus also revealed the king of Babylon is a murderer and a liar. The king of Babylon is first mentioned in Ezekiel 30, verses 10 to 11. This is what the sovereign Lord says: I will put an end to the hordes of Egypt by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. He and his army, the most ruthless of nations, will be brought in to destroy the land. The prophecies given in verses 4 and 5 seem straightforward enough, but the historical problem is that Nebuchadnezzar accomplished very little as to what was mentioned in these two verses, and even less as what is mentioned later in Ezekiel chapter 30. A sword will come against Egypt, and anguish will come upon Kush. When the slain fall in Egypt, her wealth will be carried away, and her foundations torn down. But history is clear. Nebuchadnezzar made very little progress invading Egypt, and he was pushed back. And he certainly did not destroy the cities that are described later in Ezekiel, such as Memphis and Thebes. Also, Nebuchadnezzar never even tried to attack Kush. So these prophecies must be fulfilled by a king of Babylon, but a different one than what most prophecy experts are looking for. Because most of these prophecies were not fulfilled literally by Nebuchadnezzar, Bible scholars have tried to explain away the difference. For example, the Tyndale Bulletin. The unfulfilled prophecy raises questions about God's nature, foreknowledge, and the criteria for true prophecy. The prophecy suggests that God may adjust his plans based on circumstance, challenging the deterministic views of denying foreknowledge. Some theologians argue that the future is partially open, allowing for God's intentions to change. The case of Ezekiel's prophecy illustrates the complexity of interpreting prophetic messages and their fulfillment. We can interpret the Bible literally, but many of these prophecies have to be revealed by Jesus. Kush and Libya, Lydia, and all Arabia, Cub, and the people of the covenant land will fall by the sword along with Egypt. The people of the covenant land is an interesting prophecy, because certainly Nebuchadnezzar destroyed the temple and took the Israelites into exile into Babylon. But when you read the Bible prophecy literally, the passage says that the attack on the people of the covenant land must occur at the same time where Egypt falls, Kush is defeated, Libya is defeated, Lydia, all Arabia, and Cub. And certainly Nebuchadnezzar did not do this. He did not even come close to doing this. But the king of Babylon did all of these, and did all of these within the same time frame. So the prophecy is fulfilled perfectly and literally. But only Jesus can reveal this at a time of his choosing. Now we will look at these 11 specific prophecies that were exactly and literally fulfilled by the king of Babylon, but not by Nebuchadnezzar. We will look at the sword that came against Egypt, the anguish that came upon Kush. We will look at Libya, Lydia, all Arabia, Cub, and the people of the covenant land were attacked at the same time Egypt was attacked. We will also look at how the idols in Memphis were literally put to an end and destroyed, and what happened to the prince in Egypt. We will look at how the fires were set in Zone and the punishment on Thebes. We will look at the wrath on Pelusium, the strongholds of Egypt, and Upper Thebes. We will look at what happened to the young men of Heliopolis and Bubastis. All of these were fulfilled literally and perfectly, but only Jesus can reveal this. Now let's look very carefully at what is written in verse 4. A sword will come against Egypt, and anguish will come upon Kush. When the slain fall in Egypt, her wealth will be carried away, and her foundations torn down. Now we know from history that Nebuchadnezzar was not able to conquer Egypt, and he did not conquer Kush. When Kush is described in the Bible, it is the most southern part of Egypt. Today, the kingdom of Kush is part of the Sudan. What Nebuchadnezzar could not do, the king of Babylon, the unclean spirit that wants to be God and tries to take away the sacrifice of Jesus Christ on the cross, Allah of the Quran, was able to do. Islam conquered Egypt. This was led by the 4 horsemen of Revelation: Muhammad, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman. And you can see the flags of the king of Babylon all over in the world today: white, red, black, and pale green. The 4 horsemen of Revelation chapter 6 were led by the king of Babylon, the unclean spirit who wants to be God, but is not. And Islam also conquered North Africa, including the lands of Kush, which is Sudan today. So the king of Babylon, the unclean spirit Allah of the Quran, who was the spirit that was guiding Nebuchadnezzar, this king of Babylon did fulfill the Ezekiel prophecies in verse 4 and fulfilled them exactly. Yes, you can read the Bible literally once Jesus reveals the meaning. The prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 30 verse 4 about the sword coming to Egypt was fulfilled by the king of Babylon. And just as the Bible said, anguish did come to Kush. It did not come from Nebuchadnezzar, but it came from the king of Babylon, Allah, when the 4 horsemen of Revelation made the world convert from Christianity to Islam by the sword and drink the bitter water of the Quran. Now let's look at the first part of verse 5, Libya, Lydia, and all Arabia. History is clear. Nebuchadnezzar did not fulfill these prophecies in Ezekiel because Nebuchadnezzar did not capture Libya. In fact, he did not even campaign against Libya. He did not capture all of Arabia, and he did not capture Lydia. But Islam did. The king of Babylon did, that Jesus reveals to us. There's something very important that the king of Babylon did when he conquered Libya. Nebuchadnezzar could not conquer Libya, but the king of Babylon, Allah of the Quran, did. The 4 Revelation horsemen quickly invaded Libya, and it became an Islamic state. This is important to understand because the man who carried the cross for Jesus, Simon of Cyrene, was from Libya. Cyrene is on the north coast of Libya. This is the man who carried the cross for Jesus. Yet the king of Babylon says this crucifixion, this sacrifice of Jesus, never occurred. The king of Babylon is a murderer and a liar. Now let's look at the prophecy of defeating all of Arabia. History is clear. Nebuchadnezzar certainly did not defeat all of Arabia, but the king of Babylon, Islam, did conquer all of Arabia. What Jesus revealed is true. History confirms that Islam conquered all of Arabia, even if Nebuchadnezzar was not able to do this. The spiritual king of Babylon, Allah of Islam, the murderer, the liar, conquered all Arabia. And yes, Islam completely spread through the land that was formerly Lydia. This is in Turkey, and all of this area is Muslim today. They worship the unclean spirit they think is God, but is not. They worship the king of Babylon, the king of Mystery Babylon. And while all these conquests were occurring, the king of Babylon also conquered the covenant land, Jerusalem, Israel. Jerusalem and Israel were conquered by Umar, the rider on the black horse with the pair of scales, in 638 AD. Now let's look and see what Jesus reveals about verse 13. How astonishingly accurate is this prophecy, including even the destruction of the idols. This is what the sovereign Lord says: I will destroy the idols and put an end to the images in Memphis. No longer will there be a prince in Egypt, and I will spread fear throughout the land. History is clear. Nebuchadnezzar did not conquer Memphis, and Nebuchadnezzar did not remove the idols that were in Memphis. Listen carefully to see how exact this prophecy was fulfilled, that the idols would be destroyed. In Memphis, the statues and other building materials were quarried and used to build later settlements, such as the first Islamic capital, Fustat. Over time, what remained of the ancient city was largely reduced to low ruins and scattered stones. Yes, the idols were destroyed. The idols were destroyed by the four horsemen of Revelation, showing that God is in control at all times, even using the demonic world to accomplish His will. What happened to the prince of Egypt? This is not a human pharaoh, because they continued for many hundreds of years after this prophecy. But the prince of Egypt, the unclean spirit, the sun god Amun-Ra, was made subordinate to Allah of Islam, the seven-headed beast from Revelation, the king of Mystery Babylon. The beast of Revelation that has taken control of the spiritual world when Satan transferred to the beast his power, his throne, and great authority. This beast of Revelation is the king of Babylon, the king of Mystery Babylon. The Ezekiel prophecy said that both of Pharaoh's arms would be broken. This fulfills the Revelation prophecy: who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it? Now let's look at the prophecies about Pelusium and Thebes. Nebuchadnezzar was not able to conquer either one of these cities, but Allah of Islam conquered both. Nebuchadnezzar could not conquer Pelusium or Thebes, but Islam gained control of both cities very quickly. And finally, the last prophecy in verse 17. The young men of Heliopolis and Bubastis will fall by the sword, and the cities themselves will go into captivity. Nebuchadnezzar was not able to do this, but the king of Babylon, the king of Mystery Babylon, Islam, was able to conquer these two cities. Yes, Jesus reveals all the prophecies of Ezekiel 30 have been fulfilled exactly by the king of Babylon, the unclean spirit that opposes Jesus Christ. This spirit is the AntiChrist, the beast of Revelation. But the prophecy experts cannot recognize this. They falsely teach that the AntiChrist is still in the future. Jesus is revealing all this today so that you will know the truth, because the time is short, and once the bridegroom appears, the door will be tightly shut, and there are no second chances.